This meeting is being conducted in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertisement in the Cape May Star and Wave on the Township website and posted on the bulletin boards of Township Hall.
All right, if we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A roll call, please.
Councilmember Conrad.
Here.
Councilmember Perry.
Here.
Councilmember Roy.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sippel.
Here.
Mayor Simonson.
Here. Are we all right? Oh, this is going to blow up. Oh, jeez. All right, at this time, I'm going to invite council down. We have the swearing in of Lieutenant Donald Vanneman, and his daughter Liberty will hold the Bible, and our Captain Beersback will do the pinning. So if we could work our way down. Repeat after me. I, Donald Vanneman, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, to the same, and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the position of lieutenant for the Township of Lower according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations.
You guys can speed in just a little bit. I got you, Jim, if you want to stay there. I got that. Ready? One.
I could, there, sorry.
Perfect, thanks, guys. Congratulations.
What's up?
You're going to stay down there for the presentation?
Stay down here.
Stay down. Okay. Shut the lights going.
Yeah, I'm good.
Jim, are you going to do an introduction?
Do we have to hit anything for it to read it, or do we just read it? I don't know. I guess we're overhead, so they can see the screen.
Oh, well, I could put one row of lights on.
Take a look, and I'll tell you yes. There we go. No.
Yeah, no, it's not going to.
Yeah, just that one. Just leave that. Good evening, Mayor and Council, and it's my pleasure to introduce Land Associates to share the results of our feasibility study that started over 9 months ago.
Well, is this on? Just making sure? Yes? Is it, do I need to do anything, or? Okay. All right, well, thank you all for having us out tonight. We're very excited to be with you. Oh,
Hold on a second.
okay. Can you hear me now?
No.
Yeah? Is it on? Better? Can everyone hear me? Okay, so we are very happy to be here tonight to tell you a little bit about the feasibility study that we've been conducting over the past 9 months. We were, I guess, probably met a bunch of you, I would say last July we were out here. We had some key stakeholder meetings with some of you individually. We also had a lot of focus groups where we met and heard some of the community concerns and ideas for what would be able to be sustained for an aquatic center. So by way of introduction, for those of you who don't know, my name is Kimber Heilig. I'm the Vice President of Land Associates. I'm an architect by trade, and I served as project manager on this project. I'm joined by two of my team members, Doug from Water Technologies, who has been in charge of our aquatic design and programming of the facility, as well as Darren Barr from Ballard King, and he has been instrumental in the actual operations management and how this would work moving forward. And so today what we'd like to do is we're going to spend a while kind of walking you through what happened over the past 9 months, what we learned from the community, what we heard from all of you in terms of feedback of what needs we wanted to address in the community. Doug's going to go through how we've translated that into an aquatic program that we're very excited about. Darren is then going to walk you through the operational details of how this facility would operate on a day-to-day basis and what the cost implications are. We met with mayor, council, many of you, and we know that we wanted to be really fiscally conservative, and there were a lot of concessions we made to bring this in line with the overall financial budget of Lower Township. And then finally, we're going to walk through the building design and give you some insight as to how we see this fitting into the master plan of Lower Township near the airport and some of the key amenities that we'd like to bring to the area. Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name's Doug Whitaker. And basically, when you come to an aquatic facility, and it's been very important that we really got that input from the community, the city council and mayor really looked out for your own best wishes, because when you come to a facility like this, it's really about three different things. It's that physical development. It's about the wellness that the water brings to a facility in a community. But the important thing is, when you have as much water as you have around you guys, learning how to swim shouldn't be an option. That's a lifelong skill that can really come into play very importantly. It's also about that social development. A lot of these aquatic facilities appeal to the youth of all ages and abilities. And so what that really means is it's really fun to come when you're young, learn how to swim, and as you get older, come back and really enjoy the facility with your family, and then do wellness programs to stay flexible, and because we all want to be young forever, don't we? And the other thing is having that social and emotional development, because water play really involves a lot of different skills that you learn together, and you become a much better person in life, and helps shapes communities. So the next thing that we're going to kind of show is really look at how this facility appeals to a lot of different user groups. So one thing with the really young users from 0 to 3 years old, it's really about that water initiation. It's feeling, touching the water, having the water sprays under good supervision, so you want to learn how to swim. But it's also being able to appreciate the abilities of having your friends and family around, so you can really appreciate having fun in the water. The next age group is basically from 3 to 5 years old. Now you're starting to learn how to swim. You're really enjoying the water. You're hanging out with your buddies, and also you're learning how to swim even faster, because this is a time when a lot of people decide to become competitive swimmers and also become very adept at it. But they harness their user skills and through swim lessons and things of that nature. The next age group is from 5 to 8, and now you're really into that whole social development activity of having fun with your friends, doing swim team, doing all sorts of challenge courses. Because when you come to a facility and you're having a great time doing all the different types of activities, guess what? You're doing physical activity, you're having fun, and you don't even know it. The next age group is that preteen years, where you're coming with your friends, you're hanging out with your friends, but again, you're doing it responsibly because you're exercising. You're not just sitting on the couch doing games and stuff like that, but you're doing fun things and becoming lifeguards and learning responsibilities. The next age group basically kind of shows that adult age group, and again, it starts at 20 to 80 or 90 years old, really enjoying these types of facilities for water aerobics. One of the most popular things in aquatics right now is having lazy rivers where you can do water walking, because part of that is, everybody enjoys lap swimming, but there's a certain group of people that like to do exercise, and maybe they want to talk when they're exercising. So having that ability, and you can maybe not get your hair wet too. And so there's a lot of that social interaction, a lot of fun, but also competitive swimming is really great for youth and keeping people focused, and actually master swimming for older adults. And so we want to make sure that we also talk about this. The fastest group in swimming is active aging adults, where they're getting to the pool because their doctors had said, hey, you've been sitting on the couch too long. You need to be able to stay flexible. You need to keep your mind sharp. And so we're seeing a lot of these water exercise classes that not only help the wellness of a community, but also helps that ability for social interaction when people come to those classes. And it's really fun because we do these projects over and over and over for aquatic facilities in communities all over North America. And it's always a big decision because we haven't had an outdoor pool, we haven't had a year-round pool, but it's really fun to see, the 150 or so that we do each year, going back to those facilities 2 to 5 years later and hearing, God, we should have done this sooner because it's such a great community asset for us. I'm going to turn it over to Darren. He's going to talk about some of the operational consistencies for this program.
It's always interesting following Doug. He's got all the great pictures, and I just show you guys numbers, so it's a hard act to follow. Again, my name is Darren Barr. Ballard King & Associates is a facility planning firm, so we brought our independent analysis to the team. So I want to talk a little bit about the realities of operating a standalone aquatics facility like this. Lots of words up there, but there's some things that as we went through this process, we needed to make sure that we kept in mind. And this was information that we gathered from the public. It was information that we gathered from city staff. One of the biggest concerns is going ahead and making sure that the facility is access to as many folks as possible, so that it was priced appropriately, that it was consistent with the market. So we made every effort to make sure that the cost model that we put together was reasonable. Took a look at full-time staffing. We took a look at part-time staffing. That information is really, really important. The interesting thing about a pool is that they're some of the most expensive facilities to build and some of the most expensive facilities to operate. However, as it relates to swimming, as Doug just showed you with all the different age groups, it's also one of those activities that people can go ahead and participate in from age 0 to age 100. You can really do a lot of different things. An important piece of information to understand as you begin to think about the operation of this facility is that when you talk about a standalone aquatic center, there's very, very few times when they're municipally operated and they're going ahead and they're available to the full public. There's very few times where those go ahead and recover 100% of their operating costs, which is to say they generate as much revenue as they do expenses. But again, when we went ahead and we looked at this, we tried to be as fiscally conservative as possible, while at the same time going ahead and using best practices to develop the operational plan. The last bullet is the only one that I'm going to read word for word because it's probably the most important one that's on there. But through our conversations with town staff, Lower Township has already begun to explore options to minimize that delta, okay, that loss or that deficit over the course of the year, the subsidy. In many cases, when we go ahead and we work with organizations, the ways in which they propose to minimize that subsidy are very unrealistic. It's been very refreshing working with the staff because many of the options that they're putting out there to go ahead and minimize that subsidy level are very reasonable and very achievable, which goes ahead and in the end means overall savings. On the next slide, we go ahead and we just start talking about, some real basic things as it relates to the facility. When we looked at program factors, we looked at things like aquatic group exercise. We looked at swim lessons for group, private, semi-private, even adult. Not that anybody in this room would need an adult swim lesson, but there are those instances, right? We looked at birthday party opportunities. We looked at lap swim. One of the things that sometimes gets lost in these facilities is the idea of drop-in participation. Okay, I want to go to the pool, but I go to the pool and there's a program going on. We wanted to make sure that we respected the idea that there was opportunities for drop-in use of the facility. And when we went ahead and we took a look at the proposed hours of operation, essentially you're looking at 90+ hours a week where this facility will be available. And when the model that we used essentially was 51 weeks out of the year, with a week out of the year where the facility would actually be closed. So as we put this together, when we looked at program factors, none of the program factors were factored at 100% participation. They were ratcheted back to go ahead and be realistic as it relates to the first year. The membership rates that we created, the penetration rates for those into the market were very achievable. And again, it's based on what you guys have going on in the community or the surrounding community. In some instances, because of a lack of facilities, you actually get to go ahead and set the market as it relates to a facility of this nature. The next slide, Kim is going to go ahead and is going to begin to talk about some of the overall cost as it would relate to build a facility like this. I think one of the things that's really important to understand when you look at some of these end numbers is this was not the starting point. I don't remember the initial dollar amount that we brought to the township and said, look, this takes care of everything. This is everything that everybody wants. And they very quickly told us that it's not going to work. So, which was great. It was very responsible on their part. So the numbers that you're seeing in front of you, go ahead and begin to pair that back to what can we afford to do? What can we offer to the community? Is it reasonable or not reasonable? I'm going to let Kim talk just a little bit more.
Thank you. Yeah, he gives me the hard slide. But basically, these are some order of magnitude numbers. We're thinking that a facility similar to this is about in the $14 million range. You notice on the bottom, we have an extra $2 million for multi-purpose 8-lane competition pool. The stakeholders that we were working with were very concerned about keeping costs to a minimum, and there was some thought from the community as we worked with them that perhaps a 6-lane competition pool might not be enough. Maybe it needed to be 8-lane, but we wanted to put that in there kind of as a talking point that if this project should move forward, that's something that we could consider, especially as we think about other key partnerships and how we can offset those costs moving forward and what subsidies are out there. So that's just a separate line item. So I'm going to take you through our intent for the overall building design and what our initial thoughts were. When we were first asked to look at some sites, this is, of course, the airport. This is a master plan that was not prepared by our office. Thank you. This was not prepared by our office, but I'm sure it's somewhat familiar to you guys. The brewery is pictured right here, and there's some warehouse type space where you have the taco maker and all those other amenities. The airport, of course, is back here. We were asked to look, this property right here is the Everlawn building site right now. We were asked to look at the property right next door, which has the water tower right here, just to orient you. This is Breakwater Road. We were also asked to consider that it might be slightly further down the road as well. So we're not exactly sure, but the intent is that it would be nearer the airport along Breakwater Road. What we really liked about this site, if you can flip to the next slide, is we liked the idea that it would have that prominence on Breakwater Road, so people maybe from outside of town, it would be easily identifiable, easily found. We also liked that it could be integrated with the current master plan that's on the books, meaning that we could continue through exercise paths or walking trails to really connect what's already being planned there and create a much bigger area for recreation beyond the aquatic center, and to perhaps also reinforce other programmatic elements that are already happening in that community. Additionally, we were thinking about access in terms of bus and competition and how are people getting there, parking, and we also thought that the water tower gave us kind of that cool anchor that we could consider making also a sculptural element in terms of painting it and really making it something that could be easily identifiable as you were driving by. So we have some other pictures, and these, I will tell you, are not part of the aquatic center. But when we thought about this, we wanted to say that we view this aquatic center as the catalyst for more recreational programs. And we didn't want this to be the only thing we were putting out there, because there's a tremendous amount of activities that this could then spark. And so we thought about whichever parcel of land the center goes on, making sure we choose a piece of property that's large enough so that we consider thinking about perhaps outdoor fields. Perhaps there's outdoor splash parks, and I'll show you when we go through the rendering, the thought of kind of opening up the glass and having an indoor-outdoor experience and really having that activity flow out. The idea of sculpture park, also creating areas or shade structures where there could be outdoor yoga classes or other outdoor fitness programs, and adventure trails and the sort as well. So on the right-hand side here, we have some inspirational images just to kind of give you a sense of kind of the thoughts and feelings we want to evoke as you're thinking about what this aquatic center feels like. The intent is that you enter in right here, and immediately the glass draws your eye right into the pools, and so that's the first kind of thing you're seeing is the lazy river, the zero entry pool. You're seeing people of all ages really engaging the space. To the left-hand side of the plan, we have some community rooms, and these are meant to be classroom spaces. There's a movable partition down the center. So this could be one large birthday party, could be two, it could be learn how to swim programs, it could be lifeguard classes, it could be pretty much any kind of community class that needs to take place. And they could also be rentable programs as well. Moving further down the corridor, what you're going to see is this whole block are locker rooms. And so obviously we have women's, men's, but in addition we have some family changing rooms and some family locker rooms as well. On the other side, we have offices, lifeguard station, and then bathrooms for when this is used as a competition pool, so that those folks don't have to obviously go into the changing areas. And then in the back of the facility are water slides. And as I was saying, the idea is that this whole side is pretty much like huge garage doors that we can open up so that during beautiful days you can get that natural ventilation in. And that's why I was saying when we were talking about outdoor splash pads or the potential of potentially in the future having outdoor aquatic features as well, that's why we wanted to try and have that indoor-outdoor connection. Did you want to say anything else about the pools? I don't want to miss it.
No, that's great. So one of the things that we worked very hard to do, because does anybody know what the perfect water temperature for a pool is? There isn't one. It depends what you do. And so that was one of the things that the city council and mayor and staff really worked hard on. Let's look at two different water temperatures so we have something that appeals to all the user groups. And so our lifestyle pool has a zero depth entry. It has a ramped entry. It has some nice water workout areas. It has a lazy river for doing a lot of water activities. And that water temperature will probably be somewhere between 86 to 88 degrees to appeal to lots of people in the audience. And Yeah, and then also it's great for learn to swim programs because kids learn how to swim faster when it's warmer. The lap pool will probably be operated around 81, 82 degrees for high intensity uses and water exercise programs. And so the neat thing about that is when you have two separate pools like this is the fact that you can have a competition for lap swimming or for competitive swimming, but you can also have all your leisure programs. So that helps that revenue perspective, but it also helps the community really support all the different programs that are going on. So it was really kind of a multifaceted design approach to really appeal to the different user groups. And then each one of these pools will have other types of fun activities that can tie into that thing I call watertainment, the recreational aspect of it, with like little spray play things, little basketball goals, and having a water slide that you can go down it. But we're looking at a water slide that's kind of unique in the fact that there'll probably be a timing system on it. So as the mayor goes down that, is anybody going to let the mayor be the fastest person in the community on the water slide? Well, no, let's challenge that. And so it's one of those fun activities that stays fresh and fun each time you come to the facility. So that's kind of a broad perspective of the aquatic uses. But again, it's having those two different water temperatures. You can see, like Kim talked about, having this entrance so that the spectators can come here, sit here, use the restrooms here, and the athletes would sit up above. And so it really makes it a nice competition pool, plus a great place to practice learning how to swim and swimming faster.
This is kind of our final slide is, of course, the rendering of our initial thoughts on what the building would look like. So Breakwater Road, this is the water tower, just to kind of orient yourself. This little peeling up is where the entry is, and our thought was really to make the beginning of the building is much lower, and it peels up and raises up as it goes to the airport. And we wanted to bring as much natural light into the facility as possible, and then you can see the water slides kind of poke out here so that you can, as you're on the water slide, you're outside the building, you're inside of the building, and that's all part of this glass tower in the back. And that, I think, is about it, unless you guys have anything else to say. No. So at this time, if anyone has questions or comments, anything we would like to ask any of the team, if you can come up and please step to the microphone and state your name and address. Okay.
Yeah, my name's Rich Novakoski. I live at 9 Fernwood, and I really only have one question. You mentioned about all the discussion you had with personnel who live in the township about the water park. How many people did you survey? How many people did you talk to and survey about what they wanted and what they thought about the water park?
Oh my goodness.
Could I get a number, please? A fixed number? Not a lot, not
Yeah, no,
many.
no.
Tell me a number. Because you should, if you're doing surveys, you should know how many people you talked to.
No.
You said you questioned to talk.
We did.
Okay, I'll
We
take
had-
my seat. Wait for the.
Okay, I'm sorry. I guess we had individual meetings with, I would say, 5 or 6 key stakeholders, and then we had a focus group meeting, which I would say was advertised to the public. Do you remember, Margaret? Do you remember? Yeah, I think there were 70 or 80 people.
So
Yeah.
this sounds much to me like the same number of people who were queried about the aquatic event, the same number of people who were queried about the sidewalk. So this seems to be another repeat of the same agenda of the city council. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Deb Johnson. I am the chairperson of the Rec Advisory Board. Currently, the township operates a single outdoor pool in North Cape May. The pool generally opens for the summer in June and remains open 7 days a week until Labor Day. This pool is a valued asset to the township. However, it is obvious shortcoming is that it is a seasonal facility. The RAB has long received public inquiries about the possibility of a township indoor pool. As long as I have been a member of the board, our members, township residents, especially those individuals who are active with recreation, have expressed interest for an indoor pool. At one time, the Lower Cape May Regional School District recognized this need and proposed construction of an indoor pool for health and physical education and use by the community at large. The school district's withdrawal of its proposal does not deny the benefit of the township having an indoor aquatic center. The proposed indoor aquatic center could support numerous fee-based programs and activities, serve as the home of township-sponsored youth and adult swim teams, and serve as the home to the Lower Cape May Regional Swim Team. Aside from daily open swim times, other fee-supported programs could include instructed adult fitness, a Children's American Red Cross Learn to Swim program, aqua yoga, water aerobics, aqua zumba, deep water exercise, scuba certification, lifeguard classes, and pool parties. The Recreation Advisory Board believes that an indoor aquatic center will create additional indoor recreation space and bring new opportunities for year-round recreation activities focused on aquatic safety, exercise, sports, and family fun, enhancing the recreation experience in the township. For those reasons, the Recreation Advisory Board identified the Indoor Aquatic Center as one of 5 recommended capital projects in the 2014-2018 Recreation Master Plan. Each of these projects were identified as important enhancements to the overall recreation capital in the township. Today, the RAB is proud to see 3 of the 5 recommended projects, including the Aquatic Center, are in various stages of planning and development. The proposed indoor aquatic center will help support our community as an attractive place to live, work, and invest in. The RAB encourages the mayor and council to support the investment in the proposed aquatic center to ensure its status as a major community asset. Thank you very much.
Kim, I would like to address the gentleman.
Sure,
Okay.
go ahead. Go ahead.
My name is Jim Ridgway, Township Manager, and I'd like to answer that gentleman's question. Approximately 7.5 years ago, I came to work for Lower Township in the Recreation Department, and immediately I attended several meetings in which a master plan was shown me for Lower Township, in which there was a swimming pool in the master plan. For the next 3 years working at the rec department, there was a lot of research that was done, and I know specifically 2.5 years ago, there was a meeting in the rec center where multiple people showed up, signed a petition, and said, look into this, do some research, and let us know where you're going with this. This council and a 7-member panel, not the whole council, but members interviewed 5 top engineering firms from the whole Northeast. It was a very difficult choice of who we would look at when we decided to get serious about, is this something that Lower Township could do? So saying that there has been no preparation for this, I think 2,500 days of preparation. I have spoken to the superintendents of both schools about this for several years. I spoke with the past superintendents, Mr. Cirencione and Dr. Strauss, before I even went to the rec, because I felt it was a need of the community, not just the service, the high school swim team, but the fact that our youth is surrounded by water, yet no one is being taught to swim. Saying that, we'd like to have some more questions.
I'd just like to say one thing. You have a pool. How many swim lessons do you give down there? How many students take part in the swim lessons? And how much life-saving tours do you have on that particular pool you already have?
Well,
Could you put a cover over that particular pool? Is that pool utilized? Put a rubber dome over, like you do in some other places.
I will answer to the best of my knowledge about that pool, but in the summertime, and even with this particular pool, there are certainly a lot of options for people down here for those 3 months. That pool last summer was overutilized. It's quite antiquated. I don't know specifically how many years we have left on that particular pool. Our heads of recreation are here tonight, but I do know what goes into each year, wondering if we can get through another year at that pool. And there are various activities that take place in that pool. I know the adults have yoga, swimming in there. I know there is swimming that takes place. I know we've been asked by multiple swim groups to rent time there, but we didn't want to start that because of the limited hours that we have there in that. It's just not the same as you saw the hours here. We saw this as something where people could come as early as 6 in the morning and possibly stay till 10 o'clock at night. And also, this isn't just about competitive swimming. This is about a change in wellness in our entire community, which in 35 years of teaching down here, I haven't seen much proactive activities in recreation. So this is a presentation. We're glad to hear questions, but to say this is something that this council put together in the last couple months, add about 2,000 hours to that, and then I'll say that's correct. And how many discussions with business people? These folks went out in the community about 6 months ago and spoke to owners of businesses. I didn't travel with them. I mean, they had a job to do with this feasibility study. So, again,
We're not talking about businesses, we're talking about how many people in the community did you talk to and did you survey? How many, and I don't, you said you talked about people.
I'm going to tell you.
What I'm basically saying is it seems to be something that the township keeps continuing to do. They keep continuing to do things without getting any input from the community. And when they do get input from the community, they do just the opposite of what the community wants them to do. And this is just another continuing thing. I'm actually in favor of this, but what I'm upset about is because of the way it's being handled. It's the same thing, it's being crammed on. You're telling me all these stories. Are you gonna let somebody else talk? Sure. Like you're next.
Wait, just a second.
I'm a taxpayer here, and I have 3 kids, and my kids are older, like yours.
Just,
I have grandchildren, and I have a wife that needs something like this, and she has to
just wait, stop for just a second, guys. Just a second, okay? To address your concerns, I look back through my notes. We're probably in that 30 to 40 range of individuals that were spoken to, okay? It was advertised, okay? Sir, I'm not arguing with you. You asked a number, I gave you a number, you felt it should be more, that's fine. I think the other important thing for the group that's sitting here and listening to the information that was presented in the proposal, the team that was up here was hired to just do the feasibility study. The township has made no commitment beyond paying for the feasibility study. We showed you a number in terms of what the investment would be if the facility was developed. We can show you numbers of what the operations would go ahead and would cost. But again, our work is done at this point. Now it's based on what we're hearing here, based on the decision that council makes as to whether or not this goes ahead and moves forward. Okay? And again, I think that's an important part of this process is that we were paid to do the feasibility study. We weren't paid to go ahead and tell the township, you should absolutely do this or you should absolutely not do this. Present the information and then a decision can be made from there. So,
If I could just say one thing as a close to that, and we'll take questions. You guys should be thankful you have a great city council and mayor that actually outreach to the public as opposed to just rubber stamping something. They actually did ask people. We went and talked to the community members and things of that nature. And so this has been an interactive process. Unfortunately, sometimes you don't get communities that, participate at the highest level you'd like to, but the people that are very interested in it do, whether it's positive or negative. And I'll let this young lady speak next. Thank you.
I thank you very much. I have no prepared statement. I came here because I have been very interested in this project. I am very grateful that our township mayor, manager, council members have moved forward and had this feasibility study done. I saw the article in the paper last year about this being considered. I saw the dates being listed. I knew that I wouldn't be able to attend one of those meetings, so I buttonholed the mayor and the township manager when I happened to see them at another meeting, and I expressed my thoughts and my concerns. They very nicely said, we'll put you on the mailing list so you can come again if you're home for that. What I do want to say is I started swimming 20 years ago. Before that, I was a complete non-swimmer. I had to go up to courthouse, and I discovered the best kept secret in the county, probably, that they did have lessons for adults. I took those lessons and paid for them from October to May. I'm a slow learner. The following year, I went to Cape May City. That's before their renovations were done. A very limited pool and not the best facility. But I swam because it was good for me. It was good for my body. It was good for my mind. I swim as often as I can. When Cape May closed because of a need for renovations, I switched over to Wildwood Crest. Well, that's a little bit more of a run, and it costs a little bit more money. So it's maybe $10 a week for me if I want to swim. Keeps me healthy. Along the way, I've met an awful lot of women and men who are around my age range, which is rather broad, somewhere between 60 and 90. And they are so grateful for any opportunity to be able to get in the water, do water aerobics, do walking in the water, do laps when they can. Laps, that's what I do. I can swim now. But it keeps me going, and it will help our community be healthier. So thank you for moving in this direction. I've lived here 44 years. This is the most positive thing that I could imagine happening in our community. Thank you.
Mike Rosenberg, Villas. Will this have a handicap access, the pool?
Absolutely.
That's okay.
Up to
good.
them.
Okay. Showers in the locker room will be available. How many lockers are going to be available for each?
You know, we haven't got,
Yeah, no, go
And
ahead.
if how many, and are they going to be able to be locked?
the answer is, the question was how many lockers will be available. We haven't gotten to that level of detail yet, to have the locker count, but there'll be a different, and I know Kim will talk about this, different size lockers, different conveniences. They will have both men's and women's lockers, and then that family or universal changing room is something for like families, but also for assisted changing rooms. If somebody needs a little bit of extra help in a changing room, we'll have bigger lockers for all of their things. So those things will be coming, but we don't know the exact details, but it'll be plenty for the size of the pools that are ultimately built for the usership anticipated for those facilities. That's your question, sir?
Are there any other questions? Yes,
Hi, good evening. Sally Yerk from Lower Township. It's been almost 25 years, and my daughter was just a little tiny one whenever we voted for a bond referendum at the high school where we had a swimming pool in that bond referendum, and it was vetoed. And now my 24-year-old daughter came with me tonight because she has a child that she hopes that we are going to see a pool in our community, that we don't have to wait another 25 years. That's a long time to wait. This is wonderful. As a former teacher, retired phys ed teacher at Lower Cape May Regional, I used to ask my kids all the time, how many of you kids can swim here? Less than half would raise their hand. That would break my heart, and it scared me. So it's time that we can do this. You know, we deserve this for not just our children, but for every person in this room. I enjoy swimming. It's a great exercise. Anyone can do it, no matter what your disability is. So please keep an open mind, and let's keep pursuing this, and hopefully this is where we're going to go. Thank you.
I just wanted to say I swam for Lower for 4 years, and it was really hard because we went to the Coast Guard base. We only would go 3 days, and we just switched to the Cape May pools. We didn't have the hours we could because we didn't have a pool. I've lifeguarded for 9 years at the Cape May Beach Patrol. I coach swim at the Wave Swim team, and it's hard to see that a lot of kids can't swim, and it's hard to go because the Coast Guard base, there's so many restrictions. And I think it's great. I mean, it could be possible to have 8 lanes. I think that'd be an amazing idea. I think there's a lot of people who can't swim. I see a lot of kids that I've coached, I've done swim lessons, and sadly, there's not those opportunities here. And I feel like this is the best thing that this community could have. So, just like to say that.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Marion McGuire. I'm a retired nurse, and we run an exercise program at St. Raymond's for the elderly, both matter of balance and healthy bones. There are so many people, adults, elderly, right around this area who can't get to Cape May or the Crest or Wildwood, who would need something like this to keep active. The healthier your community, the more progressive it will be and more economical it will be for everyone. And the need is unbelievable. The numbers are here who would use that pool, I'm sure.
Is there anyone else? Oh, yeah.
Good evening. My name is Tom Cook. I'm the Executive Director of the Delaware River and Bay Authority. And though I'm not here to weigh in on the policy decision you have to make, I am here to let you know that if you do decide to go down this path, you have our commitment to turn around and to make this a success. I think a number of you have seen the great advances that we've made at the airport, and I want to publicly thank Will Morey for his role in that, as well as everyone else. But I do think that if we turn around and if you do decide to do this, we will do everything on our way to make sure that this is successful. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor and ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bill Tiro. I live at, on Beach Drive in North Cape May. One quick question perhaps somebody can give me. I want to have this for perspective. What is the size in square miles of Lower Township? Round number? Somebody says 22 here in the crowd. Is that fair?
We're going to find that information and give it to you before you're finished.
Okay, fair enough. I come from, my family has been coming to North Cape May for round number 50 years, to the same house on the same street. So I have a fairly long perspective in looking at the facilities in the town. I come from a town of 4.27 square miles in the Commonwealth of Virginia. That town had managed to figure out and built itself an 18-hole municipal golf course, a community center with an aquatic center as part of it, has a 58-acre natural park. All of these are among the amenities that are operating in the town. Now, the golf course that operates as an enterprise fund takes care of itself. The aquatic center and other facilities are in Parks and Rec, and I assume these will be there as well. And they operate at about a 65% recovery rate for operating expenses, annual operating expenses. My point of all this is to have this kind of facility in its lower township makes so much sense. A year-round facility. Oh, one of the other nice things, and I happened to oppose it at the time and regret that opposition, but they do have a bubble tennis court that they can cover in the winter. And you can continue playing tennis in the winter. In the summertime, you take the bubble off. That said, to the gentleman's comment about the bubble over the outdoor pool, I watched the township put in the new walkways down to the beach. They did a great job, and I commended the council and the public works folks and Parks and Rec on that. Now we are literally on the street being developed as part of the new sidewalk that's going in. In other words, they tore up the front of our yard as part of it. Okay? Great job, gentlemen. Great job, town staff. Great job so far to the various contractors that are involved in this. From what I've seen, in the context of doing something like this, it's a wonderful community asset. A lot of costs can be recovered, and it's something that the town seems to be very good at doing in the way of constructing things. The planning is good. From what I've seen, the construction has been good, and I believe the use of this round the clock, round the year, will more than offset any thoughts about whether or not it was needed. As far as community input, yeah, I agree. Sometimes I get lazy and I don't go bother digging stuff out, the internet, the Herald, whatever's available out there. But you can find out information if you want it, if you're interested. So I commend you for the things you've done thus far in connection with this. Nice presentation to the group that did it tonight, and well done. Pursue this. This is good.
We looked it up. It's 27 square miles.
I got 31.
Oh, wow. Do I hear 32? Is there anyone else who, questions, comments? Sure, sir. Everyone's Googling something different.
Yeah, Bill Greenfield, Willis. About a year ago, whatever it was, when we started talking about this at the meetings, they were talking about a public-private partnership on this, whatever became of that. You were talking about partnering with a
Sponsor.
private entity, or?
Bill, we're still looking at multiple shared services to do this project.
Right.
Yes, there are multiple groups that we feel will work with us on that. And let me also say, potential from bordering communities that have also approached us.
And that was going to be my other question is, any way possible, like partnering with the county on this? Because they have a lot deeper pockets. $14 million, that's a lot of money. If we could partner with the county or something, and that somehow.
We do have an open space grant that we recently submitted. So as far as partnering, we are asking the county for support on this project.
And what did you request from the county?
What's that?
How much did you request in the open space grant?
How much could we request?
Well,
I have my grants coordinator right there. What was the number?
We requested $15 million. We don't expect a $15 million check. We expect them to help us with debt service.
Offset some of the, okay. I mean, I'm not against an aquatic center. It just seems like a little bit of overkill, though, with some of it, with the water slides and.
That's why you attract 12 different people.
And and another thing to consider is a large project like this, like the Roseanne Avenue project, which was needed. That started out at $5 million, and we're up to what, $9, $10 million on that now? Seven. I thought it started out at 5, and we added 4 more. Then we added more money to that. Then we 3.7 or something like that to the original amount.
We will be extending that now. There will be a second phase to Bay Shore Road.
No, that's the Roseanne Avenue project.
Yeah.
Oh,
There
going
will
all
be
the
a
way up
second
to-
phase. The first phase did not come
Okay.
out all the way to
But,
Bay.
I mean, that's what we're talking, 14 million now, but that could end up 20 million by the
We're
time
not
it's done.
talking 14 million now, Bill.
That's what the number they had up there, right?
No, this was the Aquatic Center. We had started out looking and in discussions with these folks. We were at 20-some million dollars. This got scaled back to 14 million.
Right.
And as I said, there's multiple ways to get to the finish line here.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we could get a large open space grant from the county, that would be great, you know, but, so we're at 14 million or we're not at 14 million?
The cost for what you saw there was 14
Okay, that's what I
million.
just said. Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Sir?
Make it short.
First, I'd like to apologize for losing my head there a little bit. Some of you know me. I've been born and raised and lived in this community for 81 years. I coached and worked with the youth of this township for over 40 years. I was a member of the Recreation Advisory Board and was back in the 60s pushing for us to get our own swimming pool here. The gentleman back here said he has children. I have children. I had to threaten to practice football on Town Bank Road before we got any kind of support to get the recreation fields that we have over there now. We're going through the same thing here. Gentlemen and the people here, they all have grandchildren and children. Well, my grandchildren are pretty much all know how to swim now and are big enough. But unfortunately, my wife hasn't weathered age as well as I have. And she has arthritic rheumatism and can barely get around. She definitely needs an aerobic center, water aerobics. I go over to the Wildwood Pool, try to get over there once, maybe twice a week. Have you tried to get to Wildwood lately, going over the toll bridge? Don't be in a hurry. Because if there should happen to be a boat coming, you might wait there an hour because they got one-way traffic. They're trying to patch that up, and it's about ready to fall in. They've been trying to repair that for over 10 years. We need this. We've been pushing for this. The Recreation Commission has been pushing with it when I was a member on there since the 60s to get our own swimming pool. Why I hear the gentleman back here complaining about the money. How can Avalon, Stone Harbor, Wildwood Crest, you know, Ocean City, everybody, when I was a young man growing up here, the village was a little fishing community. It was a retirement. Firemen from Philadelphia came down here and bought a little house. Millmen built houses out here. In fact, my father built was a builder of the Millman houses. Didn't even have heat in them. Didn't even have hot water. They put a 50-gallon drum on the top of the houses so they would have hot water. We've come a long way from then. A long way. We used to be able to camp out and down where the ferry is now. I mean, go gunning, for goodness sake, where Baywood Park and places are. We've changed. We're a growing community. I mean, it's just something we got to do for our kids and for our families and for ourselves. Exactly. Big sure we get any hope. Yes, please. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, sure, come on up.
Jean Whalen, John Pike Road, a little alternate, I'm right down the street from this. But I worked for the city of Cape May for 27 years in that inadequate swimming pool. We had booked swim classes year-round. Aqua aerobics classes, we actually had to have 2 a night because they were so full. The pool party room, it's brilliant. I can say with certainty they'll be packed. Lifeguard classes, all of it. It'll be packed. Woo-woo!
Is there anyone else? Oh, yep, sure.
How's everybody doing? Bob Osborne, Mickles Run. I'm a member of the Rec Advisory Board. I started coaching over here in 1989. I've been involved in the rec center since 1989. I've been on the rec board for over 20 years. Our first big project was Bennett's Crossing, football field for Mr. Simonson there. And that was a learning curve. That was the first thing that Lower Township did that was big. As we heard, this isn't something, like Mr. Ridgway said, that we just started this 2 months ago. We had a couple of our members went 3 years ago to visit a facility up north. So we have been doing this research for a long time. I think the problem that happens here is nobody listens. We had a big thing about all these sidewalks and the access paths. They're beautiful down there. Everybody thinks we were putting up, amusement rides and steak shops and bars down there because nobody's listening to the right people. This is a positive thing for the community. The high school benefits, the elementary school benefits, the elderly benefit, it's therapeutic. This is something we need to do. So there's been a lot of work. It's been a long process. Hopefully, we'll move forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, that's our last one.
Hi, Nils Johnson, Rec Advisory Board. Just a couple of observations. I went to a birthday party last night, and I ran into my brother's little 4-year-old. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm going to swim classes in Cape May, along with 15 or 20 other little kids. So I said, geez, just 15 or 20, there's got to be more. They're going out of town to go get swim lessons, 4-year-old. So there's another important piece to this. We have the Escape to Cape. There's 1,700 athletes. How many are from Cape May or Cape May County or Lower Township? Probably 500, 300, 500. Myself, I've done that race numerous times. I've had to go to Wildwood Crest, pay the toll, pay to swim. And I said, and that's just not me, it's countless others. So this thing is sorely needed, and it's way overdue. So let's get this thing going, and let's ramp it up. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for all your comments. We really enjoyed putting this together for you. Jim, do you want to say anything
No,
else?
you're
Are we
good.
good? Okay, thank you.
Council, do you have any questions before Lan finishes?
I'd just like to thank Lan. I know this has been a long process. I don't think people realize, unless they've seen all the information, how much work has gone into it. Is socioeconomics. I know you guys have done your homework from top to bottom, and if anyone has questions, you've done everything from household income to age groups that use different recreational facilities to, the list goes on, and I know that your work is appreciated, and we thank you.
Thank you very much. You've also been a pleasure to work with. We really appreciate it. A lot of communities we work with aren't as forthcoming. The more information you give us, the better we can do our job, and it's been a great partnership. So our team was really thankful that we've been able to work together. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to give them a minute, Jim, or should we move
Yeah.
on? We can begin with council for the consent agenda. Julie, we're going to move down. We'll just get council comments for the consent agenda. Sure. All right, so we're going to move down to council. Questions or discussion on the consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we table ordinance 2018-08.
I'll second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Perry?
Yes.
Councilmember Roy?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sippel?
Yes.
Mayor Simonson?
Yes. Anyone else? Comments? Nothing?
No comments.
No comments.
Once again, we want to thank everyone for coming out. I'm sure any additional questions, or if you think of something after tonight's meeting, please don't hesitate to contact myself or the manager. At this time, we're going to open up public questions or comments on the consent agenda. At this time, the consent agenda only, and we just ask that you state your name and address for the record if you come up to the microphone. Any questions on the consent agenda? My glasses on, and I don't see any hands, so...
Approval of minutes from the April 16th, 2018 council meeting, and resolutions 2018-153 through 2018-174.
A motion to approve?
I make a motion, we approve.
I'll second the motion.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Perry?
Yes.
Councilmember Roy?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sippel?
Yes.
Mayor Simonson?
Yes.
This will be the public hearing for ordinance number 2018-07, a bond ordinance providing for various 2018 capital improvements by and in the Township of Lower in the County of Cape May, State of New Jersey, the Township, appropriating $2,250,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,135,000 bonds or notes of the Township to finance part of the cost of the. This is the second reading and the public hearing for this ordinance. This ordinance has been published, posted, and made available to the public.
Any questions on ordinance 2018-08?
Questions, no comment.
No questions.
07, I'm sorry, 07. All right, we open it up to the public. If you have any questions or comments on ordinance 2018-07. I see none. Get a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Perry?
Yes.
Councilmember Roy?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sippel?
Yes.
Mayor Simonson?
Yes.
Resolution number 2018-175. This is a resolution authorizing the payout of accumulated compensatory time. This is for M. Perry in the amount of $8,538.08.
Any questions from council?
No questions.
Questions from the public? Seeing none, can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I'm sorry. Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Perry?
Abstain.
Councilmember Roy?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sippel?
Yes.
Mayor Simonson?
Yes. And now, Jim, do we have any administrative reports or?
Yeah, I have a short manager's information for the council. Gentlemen, I told you at the last meeting I'll be meeting with the Director of Public Works, and I have a list of 15 streets that we determined were most in need of remedy in the next year. I'm going to give you that copy, and then I'll meet with each of you individually so you can tell me you concur, or you maybe want to add one or change one. So that's all I have at this point, but I'm going to give you those.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, I'm going to open up the council first. We'll start with you, Councilman Conrad. Any
Yes, I got a
comments
few.
for us?
Since the last meeting, I have found that the vacant property ordinance that we put in place is working. I had a resident come up and complain about there might be someone broken into one of the vacant properties. She's sure it was foreclosed on, and there were some issues, so I came to town hall. They looked it up. The house was listed. They knew who to call. The police were involved. It was remedied. It worked beautifully. So what we now need to do is if there's a vacant property near you, it may not be registered because that only took place on places that were being foreclosed from that date on. But we could get them put on the list if we know about them. The township does not know what was foreclosed on 2-3 years ago. We want to make this better for everybody. Every neighborhood should look nice. We don't need places that are vacant that have 20-inch grass and trash in it. The vacant property ordinance lets us have someone to contact to remedy the situation. So it's great it does work. Be a little bit more patient on Bay Shore and Fulling Mill. They're getting there, people, finally. After all these years, it is being done. Interesting thing is, there's already a pothole in the area they paved. And some of you have already seen it. The manager just handed out the roadway and drainage projects for the next few years. If you have a question about anything in the village, that where your street is on the list, please contact me. I'll be happy to go over it. Some of the ones I know, what they listed as a 2, I think are 1s, and they actually made the list. We'll have an idea. We're putting a list together for the next few years to get all these roads done. I had a nice Eagle ceremony at the Village Fire. The mayor actually showed up and spoke. This kid was very special because this was actually my first scout that came to my troop because of me. And didn't think he was going to do it. He made Eagle before he turned 18. It was a great thing. I'm hoping to have him here at the next meeting. We'll have some time. It's wonderful sometimes when you see what happens when the kid gets that Eagle project and how he grows up. MUA was at the meeting last week. Not highly attended, but there's a lot of important things coming up. Villas Phase 2, the contract should be awarded by the June meeting. That means from Fulling Mill South on the east side all the way down to Greenwood, the water connections will be being made shortly. Even more important after that is as soon as they get done off Fulling Mill Road is the fact that they will repave Fulling Mill from Bay Shore up to Jennings, where they stopped before, and that will solve a lot of our other problems. They're also working on their treatment system, reconstructing, repairing it. That's very important because the infrastructure is very important to fix. They found it is also less expensive to fix and do the treatment there than if we had turned it over to the county for sewer treatment, because then everyone's rates would have went up greatly. They're also doing a couple other things I'll let someone else speak about. There's good news coming for where they're extending the sewer lines, but that is it for me. Thank you, and have a good night.
I have a few things that I want to touch on and give some information out to. Tonight we passed a resolution extending the finish date to the Beach Drive project, pedestrian project in North Cape May to June 8th. We had a pretty harsh winter with getting the work done up there, and some of those nor'easters kind of difficult. So it has been extended to June 8th. I want to let everyone know, according to the contractor, everything will be done prior to Memorial Day weekend with the exception of the final coat of asphalt. That will take place right after Memorial Day weekend. They will finish that top coat of asphalt, paint the lines in the street, and that will complete the project. So a few weeks behind, but not too bad considering the type of winter that we've had this year.
And it'll be just time for Escape the Cape.
Right, it'll be done prior to the Escape to Cape is correct. Also, the benches, I've been getting a lot of inquiries about when the benches will get put back up on the beachfront. We're looking at July 1 due to the fact that we have restrictions by the New Jersey DEP about working up on the beachfront there until after June 30th. So July 1 comes, the benches should be installed immediately. I know quite a few people are concerned about that. So you will get the benches back by July. I go up on the beachfront periodically, see how this beachfront project is going, and it looked like today they're in the last block, the 700 block of Beach Drive with their concrete work. They're about halfway down through that block today when I was down there. I also noticed something that I was extremely disappointed to see. Actually really couldn't believe it, but somebody had dumped topsoil, and what appeared to be mulch into the new dune that was just constructed in the 700 block of Beach Drive. Why it was done, I have no idea. The vandalism is it's just unheard of to me to have that project. We've taken so much care to make sure that those dunes are kept the way they're supposed to be kept. The plantings are starting to grow, everything's starting to come together, and then this happened. Extremely disappointed. As soon as we get permission, that will be cleaned up. But I was so disheartened to see that someone would actually do that. It's unbelievable. And hopefully, soon as we get permission to work back there on the beachfront, I guess after July 1st, that we'll check how that vegetation is going, and either by the end of the summer or the fall, hopefully we'll be doing some new plantings there, so we can start to rebuild up the vegetation. Also tonight, we accepted the bid for the Roseanne Avenue project. That is going forward. I can't wait to be able to sit down at the pre-construction meeting and get a little bit more information of exactly when they're going to start. But the bid was awarded tonight, so that project is definitely going forward. Those people on Roseanne Avenue have had these problems since 1985. Can you imagine having a flooding problem in your neighborhood since 1985, and it's still that way, if not worse? Well, it's going to be corrected because the project was accepted and passed, and it's going to get done. So that is definitely a good start. And the last thing, just to touch on what Mr. Ridgway and Councilman Conrad had said, I got my list of roads in Ward 2 that we're going to get paving this year. So we're going to check that over. Any concerns about roadways in Ward 2 that you're concerned about, please contact me. We'll see if we get it on the list. We'll go out there and check it out and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Roy?
Okay, yes, just a few things. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. Again, I'll echo Councilman Perry's sentiments regarding Ward 3, the roadway projects that are going to be taking place. If anybody has any urgency or any suggestions that they have their road taken care of or know of a roadway that's in pretty ill repair, contact me, and I'll do my best to make sure that the message is passed along to the appropriate personnel. Also this weekend, beach cleanup. Saturday, May 12th, from 9 to 12 p.m., noon. Meeting at the Canal Park, which is also Douglas Park, at 9 a.m. sharp. Cleanup takes place on the beach and the road going into Canal Park by the ferry. We have contact information here for Judy at 609-780-5156, or Linda at Public Works, 609-884-0998, or 0898, I'm sorry, extension 15. And we will have vests that will be provided, along with gloves and trash bags. We hope to get a very large turnout, a contingent of people to come forward. I'm doing my part as best as possible to inform people on social media, and so far my response has been pretty good that they intend to come. So we're hoping to have a large turnout, get this beach in shape for the upcoming summer season. Also, the last article I have that I'd like to speak about is what Councilman Conrad had said regarding the MUA with extending the sewer lines throughout the Irma section. It encompasses my area where I live back in behind the Wagging Tail, extending southbound to approximately Weeks Landing Road, and then down Breakwater to encompass the area across from the airport. So that is quite a large area. It's a large undertaking. The MUA is currently in the process of trying to secure financing for these projects, and it looks like they are moving forward. So if anybody has any issues or concerns regarding the extension of the sewer lines, let me know also. So far, the response I have gotten has been positive. It's unfortunate. My neighbor 2 doors down, big home on a nice sized lot with just 2 people living in it. Today he dug up a sewer main and had to replace the septic system. So he's going to miss the boat by approximately 2 years. So it happens. A lot of these septic systems are starting to get old, they're failing, and I personally very much welcome this project being put forth by the MUA. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Hey, thanks, Rowan. Just wanted to send a reminder out there that we have the Armed Forces Day ceremony coming up on Saturday, May 19th, 11 a.m. at the World War II Lookout Tower on Sunset Boulevard. It's a really good day. If any history buffs are out there as far as following the military, prior to 1949, all the different branches of service celebrate their own day to recognize their service members. And 1949, Secretary of Defense Johnson formed Armed Forces Day, so now we do it once a year. So if you can make it, it's Saturday, May 19th, 11 a.m. And the last thing is I want to thank the manager and your staff for the presentation tonight. Very professional presentation to the public, Jim. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I also want to say thank you to, a special thanks to Margaret Vitale and Colleen Crippen and really all the staff, because working with Land Associates for a top-notch presentation tonight. You heard from the director of the DRBA, also Will Morey was here, freeholder Morey, and I appreciate Mayor Clark from Middle Township. I know they had a meeting this evening at 6 o'clock, so he hustled down here, and I'm going to say a few words about that in a second. But I wanted to mention Friday night, we had two soon-to-be Eagle Scouts. Their project, one was Mark Ryan and one was Jackson Schiffbauer. They redid the press box at the Lower Cape May at John Wilsey Field, and also the dugouts in honor of Jack Weeks, who is a legend in our community. Over 400 wins in baseball. Started coaching at Lower Cape May Regional, the head coach, and I believe it was 1971, and still comes out and supports our programs. And that was a great event on Friday night, and those two young men did a great job with their Eagle Scout projects. Also, back to the MUA and their sewer and water project. I mean, you know, having been the councilman in Ward 3, and I know Roland has experienced the same thing, I've knocked on a lot of doors over there, and in Irma, the first thing they ask is, when are we getting sewer and water? So it's something that we've been working on with the MUA, and I can't say enough about our MUA and the progress that they're making. We also have the lowest rates in the state, for your information, and they promise to keep them that way. We're also in some talks with the mayor and Middle Township and some shared service agreements moving forward, hopefully. But with that, I know it wasn't mentioned in the presentation, but we've also talked back to the Aquatic Center, possibly partnering with Middle Township as well. So I appreciate again that Mayor Clark came down here. So thanks, Mayor. And at this point, we open it to the public if anyone has any comments or questions. Sure, or has a song to sing.
Mike Rosenberg, Coral Road, Villas. The street repairs, a lot of them really need it, but when they put the water line in over around where I live on Coral and Miami Road, the contractors actually did damage the roads pretty bad, not just in that particular corner, but I mean streets all around that section. Why can't they repair the damage that they caused with their heavy equipment? And I know it was them. It wasn't something that was there before, because they parked their equipment right in front of my house. So they really did do the damage to the streets. And if they're not on the list, I believe those contractors should be held accountable. That's one. The 23-cent tax we pay on the gallon of gas, that was supposed to go towards street repair also, or not just streets, I guess highway repair too. Now, if it's a state highway, if that's the only thing they're going to be repairing, we don't have really that much of a state highways going through Lower Township. But I still think we should be able to get 23 cents, some of that money, to help repair our streets here. Thanks.
Mike, they did repair, obviously Route 9 is all redone. That's really the one state road we have. And the county has been working diligently to finally repair some of their roads as well. But yeah, unfortunately, well, I guess it's fortunate we don't have more state roads. The one that we do have, they did do a pretty good job on there from Rio Grande down to the Parkway. Any other questions or comments? That's it? Come on. All right. Can I close the public portion? Ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.